Hey guys, welcome to Tiny House Yoga. I want to talk to you today about breathing, but first let's tune in. So we're going to take our hands, we are going to bring them into prayer pose. First we're going to give them a good rub. Breaking up any stale energy, any blocked energy in the palms, helping to ground ourselves this way. So we're going to bring the hands to the heart, equal pressure between the palms. We're going to give attention to the spine, feeling the sitting bones connecting with the floor. Feeling the hips tilt forward just a little bit, keeping that natural curve in the lower spine. The chest is lifted, the heart's positioned in the space above the hips, and the chin is tucked back and down slightly, floating in the space above the heart. The crown of the head reaches up toward the heavens. So in this posture, we're going to tune in using the mantra Ong Namo Guru Dev Namo. So we'll chant it through 3 times, and then we'll begin. So let's inhale deeply. Exhale. And with the eyes focused in between the eyebrows, the eyelids close down, inhale deeply. Exhale. And inhale to begin. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Om deeply and suspend the breath, which means simply cease the motion of the breath, but keep the throat open, no clenching the throat closed. And exhale. Bring the hands down. You can rotate the wrists a little bit. So, what I wanted to talk about today is breathing, because it's the most fundamental, basic thing that we do as human beings, and it's the most fundamental and basic thing for the practice of Kundalini Yoga. So the thing to know about breathing is that it is the way in which we can get a hold of the mind using the body. So the breath is the link between the mind and the body. And typically people are walking around, I think it's, somewhere for women, I want to say 16 breaths a minute, and men can be a little higher or lower. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, it's somewhere in there, like 16 breaths a minute. That's pretty rapid breathing. That's like 2 seconds of an inhale and 2 seconds of an exhale. That's That's really pretty rapid breathing, and that's what happens when we're unconscious. We're not paying attention to it at all, and that's a good thing, that we keep breathing and we don't have to pay attention if we're absorbed in other things. However, it's extremely useful to become aware of your breathing patterns and to just notice throughout the day. Make a mental note to yourself right now that you're going to start paying, if you haven't already, you're going to start paying attention to the breath every so often when you think about, when it comes to mind. When you notice yourself feeling stressed out, tense, let that be your sign to pay attention to your breath and find out what's going on. So, if we're walking around breathing 16, 18 times a minute, and then we begin to introduce this practice of slowing down the breath and deepening the breath and being conscious of the way that we breathe, then we are initiating a new pattern to begin. We are beginning to oppose these patterns that we have been practicing unconsciously for perhaps our entire lives. So, and that's not just with your breathing, that's with whatever habits have been going on that you might not even see as habits right now. Just think of them as, that's just the way I am, that's just the way things are. And you're not necessarily thinking that any of these things should change or that they're even possible to change. But when you begin to pay attention to the breath and to slow the breath down, then things start to change. It's things that you took for granted, maybe you don't take for granted anymore. Questions you weren't asking, maybe you start asking questions. And this is a beautiful thing. This is a beautiful thing. This is change at the most subtle and fundamental level. And in permaculture, we talk about the most potent changes being the most subtle and small changes. So how much smaller can you get than just paying attention to your breath? So for just the basics of fundamental breath awareness, the one thing you should know is that when babies are born, the way that they breathe is that their belly comes away from the spine on the inhale, and their belly goes back towards the spine on the exhale. And we're not talking about babies laying around taking big, deep breaths. We're just talking about the normal, natural breath is for the belly to come away from the spine on the inhale and back towards the spine on the exhale. If we find ourselves in a place of stress and anxiety, sometimes it can be that we are breathing the opposite of that. We are breathing and our belly's coming towards the spine on the inhale and away from the spine on the exhale. And so if we notice ourselves doing that, then we need to start retraining ourselves and start doing that work and break that cycle of anxiety. So you have anxious thoughts, you start breathing backwards, you start breathing shallowly. The shallow backwards breath reinforces the anxiety and you just are stuck in this loop. So let's break that and start breathing like a baby, with your belly going out on the inhale and in on the exhale. Great. So from there, we can begin to play with slowing the breath down and breathing using our entire lung capacity. And right now our lung capacity might be, we might discover that a big deep breath isn't our musculature, whatever is going on in there, it's not coming so easily. But over time, we can actually expand the capacity of the breath. We can expand the length of time that it takes us to inhale and exhale, and that will have positive ramifications for our entire body, for our entire mind, body, spirit, organism. So let's get in touch with a long, deep breath, whatever that means for us today, right now. So we're going to take our hands and place them in Gyan Mudra, the index finger and the thumb touching. This is a mudra for expansion and wisdom. So we're going to take this, we're going to put it on our knees, the palms facing up. Again, we're going to give attention to the spine, creating a nice long spine with the chin tucked down. And then closing the eyes, bringing the awareness inside the body. Gazing the eyes in between the eyebrows, keeping the eyelids closed, but just rolling the eyes in and up, creating focus and concentration. And now we're going to begin a long, deep breath by breathing into the lower belly first, allowing the belly to fully expand. And then breathing into the lower rib cage, allowing the rib cage to fully expand. And then breathing all the way up to the collarbones so that the shoulders rise. And the exhale is the reverse. The upper chest deflates first, the lower ribs come in towards one another, and the belly comes back towards the spine. And continue breathing in this long, deep, fully conscious way. For our purposes today, we want the inhale and the exhale to be of equal length. And so you can begin to count to yourself silently the length of the inhale and the exhale. And if it's accessible to you today to slow your breath down to a rate of 7 seconds on the inhale and 7 seconds on the exhale, then you'll be slowing the breath down to about 4 breaths a minute. And you'll be well on your way to bringing the mind to a place of stillness and peace. To shifting from this very subtle change, shifting all sorts of patterns going on in your being. Keeping the awareness on the breath counting. Noticing your posture. And adjusting the posture anytime you notice yourself slipping out. And noticing the pleasure of a good deep breath. In the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, he talks about how anytime we meet one of our needs, we experience pleasure. And he talks about how the breath is the most fundamental need we have. So right at your fingertips, even closer than your fingertips, you have the ability to experience pleasure just by taking a deep breath. So make that association. Connect with that association between the breath and pleasure. As you continue to breathe, enjoy it. Bring a smile to your face. Allow yourself the pleasure of your own breath. And now inhale deeply. And exhale. Again, inhale deeply. And suspend the breath. Cease the motion of the breath. And exhale. And let go of the breath. And allow the breath to just fall into that natural pattern. Belly moving away from the spine on the inhale, and back towards the spine on the exhale. And just feel inside the body, keeping the eyes closed. Taking these few moments to integrate all that beautiful breath work. And now inhale deeply. Exhale. Bring the palms together, give them a good rub, and bring them to the heart center. And we'll end by chanting one long Satnam. So inhale deeply, and exhale. And again, focusing the eyes in and up. Inhale to begin. Nam. Peace to all, life to all, love to all. Blessed be.